Do you ever wonder how a professional programmer is able to understand multiple languages? Or have you ever wondered how a professional front-end developer or back-end developer approaches language to help them understand that programming language even that much more quickly? Today, I'm gonna give you some good tips on how to study programming languages right after this intro. Alright YouTube, what is up guys? It's good to see you. Today, I kind of just want to make a very simple, basic video for you guys. I'm here in my car. I'm not trying to do any special effects, no drone footage or anything. And I just really want to give some people some basic tips on how I study code and the way that you should really approach it. The reason I'm making this video is because I've honestly been getting messages on Twitter, on Instagram, people emailing me. People ask me a simple question like, how do I know so much code? But the truth is I don't. I talk about this on my Discord channel a lot, so if you haven't joined my Discord channel, make sure you check it out. People come to me and they look at me like I'm the guy that knows a lot, simply because I don't know how many subscribers I have right now. I haven't checked in a couple days, like 24,000 or 23,000 subscribers, right? People come to me like I know so much, but that makes me feel bad because I really don't. Who's that car behind me? All right, bro, keep going, keep going. All right, let's get back to the video. But I'm honestly just a regular guy. I am not as knowledgeable as people realize, but simply what I'm doing is that as I'm learning more code, as I'm getting better as a programmer, as I learn more things, as I communicate with more developers out there in the world, as I meet with recruiters and hiring managers, or as I meet with more CEOs and etc., what I'm simply doing is picking their brains and trying to learn from them, right? And if I don't know something, I just don't want people to think that I know everything, and I don't. I mean, the main reason I created this YouTube channel in the first place, it was just to simply document my journey as a programmer. I never thought that this channel would become an informative channel for people to come to and look for help. But if you go back all the way to my old vlogs, all I did was a vlog and talk about what I'm learning, the hardships I'm going through. And I actually really want to go back into this very soon. So let me know if you want me to do that in the comments below. But I don't know everything. And I think because people think that, they get discouraged at times for like, why are they not able to know so much about code? Why are they still struggling even though they've been studying code for a year or 6 months or etc.? I've only been programming for like 2 years, right? 2.5 years actually. But I could say I learned a lot, but I'm gonna tell you what I did to be able to learn as much as I know now. So let's go ahead and let's get into the tips at this moment. I think one thing people need to understand is that when it comes to programming, I don't memorize code. And if I do memorize a syntax or how something's written, it's only because I've written that function or that loop or that if else, you know, or that array or whatever it is, right? That click function, whatever, the animations, the CSS, the HTML. The only reason I am able to memorize certain codes or syntaxes or how something's written, it's because I've written that page, that DOM, that function hundreds, if not thousands of times. And of course, after you repeat yourself, after you do the same thing over and over and over again, what will naturally happen? You'll memorize it. But I don't save code. I was speaking to a CTO the other day. I was talking to my technical director. I was speaking to other developers, and they too were saying, like, if they could just go back to the old code that they wrote weeks or months ago, if not years ago, they'll just go back to that code and copy and paste it. And that does not make you a bad programmer. Now, what makes you a bad programmer is if you copy and paste everything from the internet. And I'll talk about that in another video, because copy and pasting and not trying to learn how that function works that specific way will only make you that much more worse as a programmer. Using code from the past is not bad at all. I'll tell you this, I use it every day. I literally have a folder. I can't show it to you, but I have on Google Chrome, you can make your own folder on the tabs, so you click all these links, and I save all the pages of previous code that I know I will need to use in the future. For example, creating a function, even though I could write it from memory, if it's faster to just copy and paste it when I do it, and I do that all the time. Other than that too, I think people need to understand, like even for me, because I don't know everything, one thing that I constantly do every single day is that I do Google a lot. For example, even today, using the timeout function, right? If someone selects a certain option and if the value of that option equals this, after 3 seconds, I want to redirect that person to a different page. And I probably didn't even do it the best way, but it worked, and that's what's most important. These things that sound very basic as they may seem, it's not something you just memorize, because you don't always do it over and over again. But as you continue to do it often, as you get better at a specific library or framework language, that's when you're able to understand it. And so like using Google, researching, using the internet for help, it is honestly something that I think like 100% of developers use. Maybe there's that 1 or 2 or 3% of people who don't use Google and they memorize memorize everything and they're just insane, and there are people like that. It's kind of crazy. But even for them, when they're working with a new language, a new framework, or there's something they simply forgot, they'll still use Google. And they're not doing that because they're bad at programming, because you do forget. And I think someone who thinks you have to memorize anything, I think just trying to memorize everything will only make you not just worse, but it'll slow you down in reaching your complete potential. So don't focus on trying to memorize code. And again, like I'm not better than anyone. There's a huge benefit in being self-taught. As a self-taught developer, whether you're front end or back end or a mobile developer or whatever, right? One of the big benefits of being a self-taught developer is that you learn how to learn. You learn how to research things you don't know. You know how to find things on the internet to help you solve what you need to do a function, to fix a bug or whatever it is, right? How to even find a bug, how to make your browsers look good on an Internet Explorer browser, even though I don't know why people still use it, but people still do, from Internet Explorer to Mozilla Firefox to Microsoft Edge, Chrome to whatever, Safari, right? But these aren't things that you just naturally remember, but these are things that you constantly learn. And again, being a programmer, it is a learning process. It is not something that happens overnight, but it's a skill that you constantly grow as you progress as a developer in this industry. And again, I think more than just memorizing, the most important thing to be able to do as a programmer is to be able to understand the concepts, like understand of how a function works. When you create a function, the whole point of the function is to do something based on an event, or you can make that function, use that function right off the bat. For example, when something loads, right? The most important thing, whether it's HTML, CSS, when it comes to JavaScript or Vue.js or React or the Angular framework or PHP, you won't be able to understand everything right away, but if you're able to get the concepts down, you will become unstoppable in this industry. And again, I think sometimes people misunderstand that tutorials will really help you become a better programmer, but that's not true. For me personally, when I go through a tutorial, I still don't understand that language or that framework or that library after I learn it. What I'll often do is that, for example, I'm going through the Vue.js tutorial on Team Treehouse. You can check out the link in the description below. You can get 7 days free there. But when I learn something on there, what I'm doing is I'm applying it to something I'm doing in my real life job. Even though when Vue.js isn't needed to get something done at work, I'll still use it just so I can get better at it. It's the reason I do that is because I know that by applying what I learn is what makes me better. But tutorials alone can only limit yourself so much. And so this is when becoming a developer, a self-taught developer, is so valuable, because what happens is that after you go through a tutorial, what I do is I try to get my hands dirty and I try to look at the Google Docs to get a better insight in how to work with that framework or library. Or to just depending on tutorial to tutorial, learning all these tutorials will not make you better, but it's using it to build a foundation, and then you build your strengths, your skills on top of that foundation. And I think, last but not least, just to end it here because I do have to go, I think my biggest problem as a developer when I first started out, especially the first year, is I would always get so mad at myself. I'll be so negative on myself because I'm not able to understand a language so quickly. Like, why did JavaScript take me a year to understand or a year and a half to grasp? And only now when working with Vue.js, I'm able to write code so much better. Today, a task was given to me and they thought it would take me a couple hours and I did it in 15 minutes. Maybe why? Because I'm working with a framework that requires you to have a better understanding of JavaScript, that forces you to understand JavaScript even better, to be able to manipulate the DOM better. But but honestly, like, I think that's one of the things that slowed me down, because I was so afraid of failure at that time. I was so scared of admitting that I'm not good, that it refrained me from not just asking help, but realizing that I don't know a lot. But it was only until recently when I took like an assessment test to test how good I am, and I realized I'm not as good as I thought I was, and it humbled me, and I realized more than just tutorials, I need to learn how to use these arrays better, objects, directives, work with instances, components in JavaScript, and use components within the DOM and etc. for different reasons. And it's by learning these things are what made me a better programmer today. I would get so hard on myself for not understanding a language after learning one tutorial, but you won't unless you're a prodigy. That's not normal. And so at the end of the day, I just want everyone to understand that this isn't easy, but it does take time, but it is very possible. But you just have to be able to approach studying code in a different way and understanding it will take time. But when you take your time and you put in that effort to just really understand how a language works, you'll be able to get it. So anyway guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. On a side note, one thing I do want to talk about is that I will be flying to San Jose. Hit me up on Instagram if you're in the area. Maybe we could do a cool meetup late at night. We'll see about that, but I'm looking forward to going there. But thank you guys for watching, man. And if you haven't yet, I would appreciate if you could like this video. If not, it's all good, man. Hopefully I'll see you again. But thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped you out. This is Krishan. This is the Life Web Developer, and I'm out. Peace.